Dedicated funding for roads and bridges is an ongoing conversation among lawmakers. Currently, about half of the money collected in sales tax on auto parts is directed to state road and bridge projects. Last session, Senator Jeff Howe authored a bill which passed the Senate on a vote of 59-7 that would have dedicated all of the sales tax on auto parts to transportation. I spoke with him recently and began by asking him why he took this approach.
Our road and bridges are not keeping up with the traffic that we have. And so we, need to think outside the box and how to provide for that. Right now, the general fund provides about 0.4% of the general fund towards roads and bridges. Everything we buy, everything anybody, even if you don't drive a vehicle, everybody relies on roads and bridges. If you buy something at Walmart, if you buy something at CVS, guess what? That came by a truck. That came on roads and bridges. So that drives me to say that the general fund needs to provide more funding to our roads and bridges because relying on the gas tax, which provides about a third of the cost, and our registration fees also provide some. What happens is we can't keep up. And our roads and bridges continue to deteriorate, so we need to think of different ways to actually make that happen. So this was a deal that I thought of. Actually, I was working on my 1997 Suburban, replacing the fuel pump. And my wife came out and said, why don't you just buy a different one? And I thought about that as I was bloody knuckles and grease under my nails. I was laying underneath there trying to drop that big 42-gallon gas tank. And the idea is that if I bought a different vehicle, the sales tax on that piece went to roads and bridges. But if I buy pieces and parts to keep my old vehicle on the road, that went to the general fund. That didn't make sense. To me, common sense says if it was applied to a vehicle on the road, it should go to roads and bridges.
Had this bill become law, it would have placed 86% of the sales tax revenue in the Highway User Tax Distribution Fund, or HUTDF, as people around here say. The remaining 14% would have been split between town roads and small cities. Why do townships and small cities need dedicated funding? Well,
the townships have they get dedicated funding, but they struggle. They haven't been getting enough. So this would have gave them another 7%, or about another $20 million, give or take a little bit. And that would have definitely helped them, because I tell you what, if you've ever been out in rural Minnesota and seen some of these township roads, there are a number of them that have minimum maintenance signs. And that might sound okay, but minimum maintenance right now means no maintenance. They struggle keeping their township roads up because farm equipment and trying to get goods to market, they all become heavier and heavier, and those roads struggle to keep up with that. Now, when we talk about small cities, they're cities under 5,000. They get no state assistance on their roads. So the only way they can fix their roads and fix their streets is through property tax. So really, this is a great way to provide property tax relief for towns and small cities, and that's really key to that proposal.
Now, I said that the bill passed 59-7. One person who objected was Senator Mary Kunesh. She argued that full dedication of auto-related sales tax to transportation hurts the general fund. So in essence, you're taking money away from education, health and human services, other major budget areas. How do you respond to that criticism?
Well, keep in mind, education and health and human services takes up about 75% of our $52 billion budget. And as I said before, transportation gets 0.4%. So when you look at that, this is $300 million as opposed to they're getting billions of dollars. About 26 billion, I think, goes to education. So to say that 300 million is really going to hurt those other funds, I don't think that's true. And I truly believe that it'll make a huge impact to really small cities, property taxes in those small cities, and it'll actually improve our road, vastly improve our road structure out in rural Minnesota. And so I think it's something that we have to do. We have to think outside the box, and I think it's only appropriate that that's where the money comes from.
Now, our transportation sector is undergoing a shift. There are increasing numbers of electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles and incentives for people to purchase such things. You also sponsored a bill last session that would have increased the surcharge for electric and hybrid vehicles. Currently, that charge is $75. Your bill would have raised it to $229 for electric vehicles, half that for hybrids. Beyond that, I mean, why? Okay, so why should the surcharge be increased? And you know, electric vehicles don't buy gas, and so how are we going to fund transportation in the future?
Well, when you look at that, we actually use MnDOT's figures and the average miles driven, the average cost, and that's how we came up with 229. We just didn't pick a number out of the sky. I mean, 229 is kind of an odd number, but that's taking the average miles driven, the average gallons per minute, gallons per mile, all the rest of that's miles per gallon, all the rest of that stuff we looked at to come up with that 229. And why did we go to a surcharge? Because it's easy. It's the tool in the toolbox. It's easy. People understand it. Do I like it? No, I don't. I actually, even though I proposed it, it's not my first choice. My first choice is actually a different bill that I filed, which was 1602, which actually would have added a tax to the electricity used as fuel. And it's already, that fuel would actually, that piece would automatically be dedicated to the HUTDF. And it actually makes sense because as we go to more and more electric vehicles, we need to try and we have less gas vehicles on the road, we need to be able to figure out how we're going to charge to get there. And this only makes sense to do, and we're just trying to figure out, do we do it at the charging station? Do we do it at the meter with the utility company? Do we have the utility company collect it? Do we have the charging station owner collect it? How do we do that? And where do we put the charging stations? All these are an important discussion. I'm not opposed to electric vehicles. I just think that we need to figure out how to do an equivalent tax on that electricity to ensure, and you know, who knows? Hydrogen vehicles might be the next thing. So we're going to have to figure out how to charge them also as we have hydrogen. We've figured it out for natural gas. We did it for propane. We need to figure this out and actually come up with a process to charge those electric vehicles on the road because they still drive on the road. We're still going to have to figure that out.
So definitely more to come on that front, and we'll have you back in the future to talk more about it. Senator Jeff Howe, thank you.
Thank you.